The Wrap is back. I'm Tyler Griever, Mark Ennis, Andy Sweeney with ESPN Louisville. We have a lot to get to after taking a week off. We're going to start with Kentucky. Guys, I know the Wildcats were banged up, but this was a really disappointing effort against the South Carolina team that just has not been very good this season. What was kind of the immediate takeaway from this game for you guys?
Well, the immediate takeaway is easy. Their special season's over. They lost slack in the rope last week when they lost to Ole Miss, and they had every chance, every opportunity to win that game. Instead, they make mistake after mistake after mistake. They lose that game, and now you got to come back, and you got to beat South Carolina. You got to win at home. They didn't have the energy. Mark Stoops talked about not having the energy. J.J. Weaver after the game talked about not having the energy. So their special season, I think, is completely gone, and now it's what can they hold on to? How bad is Will Levis? If he doesn't play, I mean, there's little to no chance they can beat Mississippi State, who is going to be a top 17, 18 team in the country. Then you look at Tennessee, what they are, what they have done this season. You already were losing to Georgia. It's a mess how bad that injury is, but their special season is now over. They need to try to hang on to an 8-4 season, try to get to that 9th win, beat Louisville at the end of the year, and try to gain momentum at the end of the year, because middle of the year, second straight year, has been a disaster for Kentucky.
Well, I think on this, on the Wrap, that we've talked about that Kentucky seems full grown, and this might have been like sort of the first real time that they've reached, maturity, and people begin to respect them as a program, and they went out there and overlooked somebody. They went out there and it looked like the body language, the attention to detail, the attacking, the physicality, all of that, they looked like they just sort of thought they had to show up for this one. And then without Will Levis, I mean, this was something that I think Scott has had a problem with at Louisville in his years, is where you go into a game where it's very obvious what the emotional energy and motivation and everything is for the other team. Can you be ready for that or match that? And routinely teams have nothing left to lose, so stick it to Scott. And that's what happened in this one. South Carolina, like this one was personal for Shane Beamer. He wanted this one,
Sure,
and they played like it.
Yeah, if you doubt that it was personal at all, Shane Beamer literally put on sunglasses and danced in the locker room because of what Mark Stoops said at SEC Media Days.
And said it's because of what Mark Stoops said at SEC Media Days.
He directly referenced it, which that never happens anymore. But I thought it was funny, to be honest, and I don't care who wins or loses.
By the way, that's progress.
Yeah.
Your coach being a target, like that is progress.
Yeah.
Kentucky has made real progress, but then you got to wear it when this happens.
No,
too.
100%. And I thought Stoops after the game was blunt in assessing the issues. Like, you had a first-time starter out there in Kaya Sharon, and they did him no favors. First play of the game, you fumbled the ball away, turned the ball over twice. They allowed, I think, 6 sacks to South Carolina, so that continues to be a problem. The kicking game, what is going on with that?
No,
it's a total, just letdown on every side of the ball.
Listen, the Will Levis thing is one thing, but it's not everything.
Yeah.
Right,
He has been able to, and he would have last night, probably cured a lot of their issues. He would have stayed in the pocket. He would have taken the hits he's repeatedly taken. But you're exactly right. They needed to play solid fundamental football on Saturday, and they failed. And it's not surprising because they have failed nearly all season. But again, they have played lesser than, but it cost them last week, and it cost them here again. Bad offensive line play. I mean, a lot of Kentucky fans I know don't like that first play where you're doing something with trickery.
Right.
But think about it this way, guys. I mean, they worked on that play probably as much as any play in practice. Yeah. So let's run it first. Let's get maybe a chunk play. Let's get our faster guys the ball. But from penalties to offensive line play, they are a sloppy football team. They can't make kicks, and we saw that in the first half, and they got behind, and the one thing they couldn't do is get behind. Mark Stoops needed to play this pound and ground, C-Rod 5 carries in the second half, completely off your game plan. You're not going to win games that way. You're just not.
And I'm not sympathetic to Mark Stoops not having a quarterback. They literally did this for a year and a half. You have experience trying to win this way, and it was South Carolina, who's kind of the SEC Virginia. It wasn't a great opponent, and they have officially moved all the way away, or haven't replaced, or however you want to say it. They have been a mauling physical team up front, and they are nothing close to that. They don't move people and run it like they used to, and because of that, they don't throw it or pass protect like they used to. And when you make this decision Louisville sort of had this with Virginia. When you make this decision to go to an outside zone, play action, and all that, like the passing game is play action. And when you can't run it, you can't throw it either.
Get ready for Will, because Mel Kiper's already started this, that the evaluation of Will Levis in the draft will be, don't worry about some things. He had one of the worst offensive lines in football.
Which is
and
crazy
it's true.
to say.
And it's true, and it's unbelievable. And Stoops had an offensive line. He could have gutted out probably these last couple victories, but he can't. And I mean, if Will Levis is injured, I mean, Saturday against Mississippi State, goodness, I mean, they could put 40 points on the board.
And the one thing you could say about what the staff did with, once they knew it was going to be Sharon, right?
Sharon, yeah.
Sharon,
Sharon,
okay.
yes.
When they knew it was going to be him. 2 weeks ago against Boston College, there were two different third and longs, a 3rd and 9 and a 3rd and 14 on different ends of the field, and in both of those, Louisville ran a quarterback draw with Malik Cunningham.
Yeah.
And I sort of screamed at the time, that does not show confidence in anything in your 6th-year quarterback. And I think Kentucky kind of did a similar thing, coming out running that goofy play on the first play. It was like, this dude, we don't trust this dude to do anything. And like, if I'm a South Carolina coach, I'm like, oh, they don't believe he can do anything. This should be a lot easier. And it was.
To put a bow on this, I'm going to own it. I thought a couple weeks ago when we talked about this team, they were the 3rd best team in the SEC. I think the proof's in the pudding now that that is just not the case.
What areas they had to get better, they didn't get better. They have not got better, and it's bit them.
Now, they'll
twice.
have chances to earn it. I mean, Georgia, Tennessee, they'll have chances. There's no doubt, but I don't see it right now as it's currently constructed. Anyway, Louisville, though, let's just put a disclaimer out before anybody wants to come and say, you guys are making too much of this. Virginia's not good. We know that. Okay?
Let's do all the qualifiers.
Let's do the qualifiers. There is a lot of work to do if Louisville is going to try and save this season. All right? Having said all of that, I think emotionally on the field, the players responded. They clearly did not give up against UVA. Brock Doman started slow, but I was impressed with him. He stood in, took some hard hits, made good throws. That 4th down touchdown was an awesome play. It was a great play call. Virginia completely bought it. Reaction to the Cards in general.
I think the dance you're doing with Louisville all the time when they play a team like this is don't make too much and don't make too little.
Right.
Out of it. I think like if you got when that game ended, you're like, this changes nothing. Well, if you really feel like that, then what happened in the game didn't matter to you at all. And if your post-game analysis is none of this mattered, well, then you're doing it wrong. You get what you can get out of it. I think the things that should be most encouraging, but also kind of a challenge, like where's this been, is the fact I thought they called a much better game with Doman in there. Like everything, you could see how it all fit together. They ran inside more decisively than the outside zone, and the quick throws, stuff that we've been begging for them to do with Malik just to make things a little bit easier in the passing game. They did a ton of it and then built off of it. And you have the pump fake to on the touchdown to Marshawn Ford. They set
Hudson
all of
sold
that
that
up.
really well. He sat on the screen route.
Ford more active, I think, Saturday than probably all
That was
year, right?
I thought we get
that
I thought we'd
drum
get it in
for
every game.
years. Yes,
That's right.
My goodness, get him the ball.
And I think they showed, here's a guy, what's he good at? And let's figure out the ways to maximize that. And he was throwing basically between the hash marks in quick throws. And it was all very well done. And you're on the one hand, every one of these games that's like this, you're like, good. Man, that is encouraging. They can do it. That's awesome. And at the same time, you're like, why did it take this long?
Well, I mean, you guys know what it would have been the next 2 weeks with a bye going into Pittsburgh. It was going to be, if they lose that game, it's weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Virginia's terrible. Louisville earned silence and kind of rest within their program for a couple weeks, other than the toxicity that would have been there had you lost to Virginia. You would have been last place in the ACC. You would have finished last.
Our friend Harold, that calls and interacts with both of us throughout the week, it has said it best. And these games like this, they don't earn Scott anything sort of above the line.
Yeah.
Except for another chance. And now, here it is again. Pitt's really good. They're an established program. They're really good. You're going to come home. Like, this is quite literally probably Scott's last chance to have a home crowd against a good opponent, have a team up, equally up as the other team, and come out with a win.
This was one start for Brock Doman. I understand Malik has struggled this year, but we know what a fully healthy and effective Malik Cunningham can look like. And I would say, and this is going to lead to my next question, you talked about the game plan looking different. There is no reason that can't be the game plan when Malik Cunningham is playing. Like, I know you want to rely on his legs, but you have to put him in a better position with his arm by giving him an easy completions. How many times have you heard Scott after a game say, oh, we just didn't get in a rhythm on offense? I mean, that's like a go-to line for him. You have to help them with that. So going off of it, how noticeable do you think that Lance Taylor's involvement was in this, and also Scott getting in on defensive meetings?
How much do you buy it, Mark? Because the TV was talking it up.
Yeah,
I mean, the
they were talking, I'll give you
ACC
that.
network
And for the sake of
up.
argument, Scott after the game still said he's heavily involved.
He said he called the
yeah,
plays.
he called the plays. So I don't know what to put into it. I'm just going off of what we were told.
To be fair, Scott did not say Lance is calling the plays now. He said he's going to be more
Yeah,
because I'm
he's
going to
getting
do
in there
the
with
defense
it.
more.
Yeah.
But there's no denying to me the fact that they have run from the shotgun inside zone way more than at any point in the 3 previous years. And if you look at it, that was the bread and butter part of what Notre Dame did, where Lance Taylor just came from.
I'm not ready to say we have a quarterback thing,
Okay.
but I'm also not
I just
ready.
want to beat you to the punch on that.
I'm not ready to give it up though.
Okay.
I'm not. What do you have to lose? I mean,
Well, that's the thing.
maybe Malik's indecisive. Maybe he's running around instead of letting it go
If they
and throwing a pass.
If they can't call the plays that they call and design the offense that way with him, well, we need to, why? It might be
Yeah.
a problem with him. If you did want to be somebody that advocated for Brock playing, he hung in longer in places where you could very obviously envision Malik bailing out and running. And they were meaningful throws that I think sort of paid off down the line.
I really think the guys responded to him well yesterday. I
It's
mean,
one of those hard to quantify things you might
It
be
is,
right.
and that's not saying look, Travion Cooley scores a touchdown, throws up a 3 with his fingers to say, hey Malik, we're winning this for you. But watch after those plays, Caleb Chandler is up in Brock Doman's face, pumping him up, lifting him up after touchdowns. He gets done with the post-game interview with ESPN and gets a line of hugs for what he did. Look, I'm not telling you that means everything, but it absolutely means something for a team that's trying to fix the season.
You might be right. It might also be that thing where it's dude, everybody's kind of got to pick it up.
Everybody's got their backs against the wall.
Well,
and you gotta do something.
no, what I'm saying is they would never, ever tell us this, but it's entirely possible when the backup comes in that everyone's like, oh, here we go.
Yep.
And I got to give 110 because his best is only about this.
Well, it's better than the
if
alternative of is our
right.
coach going to get fired?
That's
We
right.
talked about, the last few years, whenever things would go haywire for U of L, they lose to a Boston College, we'd say, it's been 4 years and Scott Satterfield hasn't brought in a quarterback.
Is that your news anchor
that
voice?
could,
What is
yeah,
that?
that
Yeah,
could
yeah,
go
tipping
up.
you.
Got it,
That
yes.
could go up against, a Malik, right? And I don't think he can. I mean, I don't know. There's at least an option. If Malik isn't playing well, we know Evan Conley's not the answer.
I agree.
There is competency there, and I think, there's value there. Louisville shouldn't need to care who they play. Okay, the best team in the NFL has Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback, right?
Stop.
Right? You
We're
understand
so
what
done
I'm
with
saying?
this
When
now.
that happens,
No.
you know,
Segment's over.
It doesn't matter who
Done.
you win with. You
No.
just got to win.
Yes, they look good. You're done.
love you sneaking that
I'm
in. That's
silencing
about that.
this. We are done. Bottom line, Louisville is not going to apologize for any win at this point.
Or for
to
being
try-
happy about it.
Right, to try
Hey,
and
listen,
save
I'm
this
with you.
season.
No, they should be.
Well, we will be back to react to more with really Kentucky next week because Louisville's off. So maybe we could find something to talk
It's a big
about.
one
and
for
all that.
Kentucky. That's
It's
gonna
a
be a challenge.
very big one for Kentucky. But for Mark Ennis, that's Andy Sweeney. I'm Tyler Griever. Thanks for watching another episode of The Wrap.